Sakkito. We've got Lee on pole position for the final with VX Dave Championship winner alongside, but it's a great start off the line by the BMW DTI Dave. He's boxed out though as they head up towards turn 1. He's directly alongside VX Dave there, and as we go into turn 1, this car's running wide, one of the extra cars running a little bit wide. I think that might have been Sammy, but Lee leads into turn 1. DTI Dave making a move up the inside of VX Dave, one position back, and VX Dave trying to get back past, and very tricky in these wet conditions. They're side by side, there's a slight squeeze. Who's going left, who's going right? VX Dave tries to get back up inside, can't do it. DTI Dave is through to second place, great move. And now Danny fancies his chances on VX Dave. He gets a far better run out of the corner, and he's going to drive all the way around the outside. VX Dave getting absolutely mugged, and Cordless now is the next one to try and put the championship winner under pressure. And we've already seen a BMW victory earlier today, very convincingly. Will we see that again today? We can see already DTI Dave putting Lee under pressure for the win. Lee's not had a win yet this season, and he'll be really keen to try and hold that BMW behind, at least for as long as possible. He's got his teammate in third place, so he'll be really hoping that Danny gets his foot down and can help apply some pressure to the back of that BMW. And that's one lap down, Lee leads the race. Now Witching ball with his teammate slides into turn 1. Lee's gone wide in the lead, which is going to give DTI Dave an opportunity in the BMW. DTI Dave goes to the outside, and Lee's lost it. Lee's lost it on the brakes, he's gone in too deep, and Lee's teammate manages to get through. VX Dave almost has to go behind Cordless, last year's championship runner-up, trying to put VX Dave under pressure for that fourth place. Look at the cars bouncing over the curbs, even in these disgustingly wet conditions. They're really pushing so hard. We saw Simon run a little bit wide, and that's given Mark an opportunity up the inside, and one of the other extra cars running wide there. I think that might have been Sammy. Oh no, that was Del Sport. So Del Sport drops to the back, unfortunately. But there is battling all the way through the field, and there's just 0.6 seconds between the leaders because Danny has now managed to get alongside. So brave Danny, a lot brave, has managed to get alongside DTI Dave's BMW, and a great move to take the lead. Weren't really expecting the Renaults after the race. Oh, mind you, DTI Dave straight back up the inside, and then in the background you've almost got 3 for third place as VX Dave's trying, but it's the battle for the lead that we're interested in at the moment, that we're looking at. And Danny goes to the outside of DTI Dave. I don't know if he's going to manage it as they turn in. We're on board. Oh, he does, he cuts in front. DTI Dave's BMW not, as we've seen a lot this season, not quite got the straight line speed in the way he's set up. And there's contact, nothing unfair at all, just a little bit of touching, such a tight spot on the track there, and it's now 5 for the lead, and this is turning into quite a good race because Mark behind is catching up to make it 6 for the lead. Stig is catching up. Oh, DTI Dave, massive slide the BMW. VX Dave up the inside of lead, so VX Dave's managed to get back up to third position, and then Mark's coming through as well. No, sorry, Cordless, that was Ian coming through, so Ian's now in 4th place. This is great driving by these guys because you can tell watching from the track side here that they haven't got much visibility. Here comes Cordless to try up the inside of the championship leader, championship winner from this year and last season as well. But Ian, the runner-up from last season, showing that he has not lost his touch. Look at him straight through. Ian recently turning a granddad, but it's not slowing him down. He is absolutely flying, and great stuff to see. Lee now wants to get that position back off of VX Dave desperately. Lee dropping away a bit after that random grid pole position, and he did so well on the first lap but just lost it heading into the second lap on the brakes. And look at what they are having to look at. It really is treacherous out there. The man on the mission appears to be Stig, who won the first race, let's not forget, pole position very convincingly. Fantastic pole. There's a little bit of contact. VX Dave's gone deep on the brakes this time, so Lee gets his own back on VX Dave by coming through on his board with Stig, and Stig's just 6th place now and just not far behind the rest of these guys. So what's he going to be able to do? Is he going to be able to get that BMW onto another potential podium? He's driving beautifully at the moment. His next target is the champion, and I'm sure VX Dave won't make it easy for him, but the speed that Stig has got is going to make it very difficult to hold it behind. VX slightly quicker through the chicane there, and actually they're also keeping with Lee at the moment, so there is quite a titanic battle over 4th place. Ian is very convincingly pulled away in 3rd place. Whether he's got enough speed to put pressure on the race leaders, I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see. But this battle is so close, and here comes Stig. He's got some mega straight line speed, and goes to the inside of it. They can't really do anything about that, and who's going to end up boxed out here? There's almost contact. No, they all drive really carefully there, and VX Dave gives space to Stig, but great move by Stig, and Stig's going to have it as they head into the right hand, double right hander. Almost goes in too deep on the brakes, almost on the grass there, putting the power down, and but he takes that position, and once again we saw in race 1 VX Dave falling back a bit, now down into 6th place. But out front for the lead, we second between who has regained that race lead ahead of Danny, a lot brave in 2nd. Danny's had 3 wins already, this 2, hit a 3rd in this race. So both of these guys strong championship contenders this year, and have helped to take it all the way to Old Park last time out. But these conditions are absolutely treacherous, and you can really tell the quality of the driving in this. We haven't seen lots of accidents and things, and it's great for winning races. A little bit further back we've got Simon there holding on to 8th ahead of Sammy, so these guys have quite a good battle actually at the moment. Sammy and Simon have both had some really decent seasons, and that's been really promising to see. This is not an easy championship, it's the hardest that some of these guys will have actually entered, and it really is good to see. Now it's looking close again between Lee and Stig, so Lee going to go for VX Dave's just dropped a place in the background, so VX Dave's now down to 7th position with Mark getting past. So great Mark, and but what we're watching at the moment, it's between Stig and Lee, and again going to be easy pickings because Stig has just managed to pick off the front wheel drive Renaults one by one in this race. Lee makes a mistake though, and ultimately that makes it quite easy for Stig. Stig straight through there, and nothing more that can be done. Behind it's square between VX Dave and Mark, ever so going a little bit deep. VX Dave up the inside, will he have the position? Might. Mark's gone wide again there, but lots of understeer, particularly VX Dave's car as he threw it into the corner there. Just be the way he set the car up that well for him. Out front, DTI Dave still lead of Danny ahead of Cordless, ahead of Ian, and Dave and a lot of Brave in particular fighting for 2nd in the championship, so it really is important where these guys finish, and both of them will be hoping their teammates can make their way towards the front. Look at the standing water there, great shots there, but both by Dave and a lot of Brave will be hoping their teammates can come forward and get in the action. Oh, there's Ian just cutting across the chicane a little bit of lag there. So that they can, so their teammates can help them out in that the overall title. Where is Lee? So Lee is not too far behind Stig. Ian has run wide. Come on, again, some lag going on there. It's difficult to tell what's lag and what's legitimate, but looks like Stig's going to go for what appears to be his favourite move so far this race. He sticks it up the inside, and we've seen the power. And he's already through. That was fantastic. What a great exit from the BMW. And part of the reason for I think might have been Cordless is he in the pit lane? Yeah, so Cordless is in the pits. So he's one of the first guys to pit. It's quite early on, lap 8. Lap 7 going on to lap 8. Let's go back to Stig. So Stig's promoted up to 3rd place. Look at him, absolutely flying through the double right-hander, and he definitely is going to fancy his chances for getting past Danny, which is going to help out DTI Dave in the overall championship, and will give them the best chance of potentially finishing 2nd overall. A little bit further back, Sammy and Simon. Look at these guys, still having a great battle again through the standing water there. Really tricky stuff this, but we'll go on board with Simon and see what happens up through the chicanes, the hardest bit of the track. Simon very composed, slightly better run through than Sammy on that occasion, I think, so this can put these guys quite close as they head into the final double left-hand bend. Runs a little bit wide, so that's unfortunately, but maybe a little bit later on in the race. There's a long way to go yet. We're just a quarter of the way through, a third of the way through this. There's Ian just behind, so Ian has pitted, and we'll see how far he can make his way up the grid. He does seem to have been pretty quick around here in practice qualifying and race 1, and I don't know if it's a mixture of the track or the conditions, but something that's suiting him very well. He does seem to be getting on very well, so this is pretty cool to see. DTI Dave really stretching that lead now, and you can see Stig really chasing down on the back of Danny. So we'll go quiet for a minute and listen to that BMW. And you notice actually along there with the rain beat down so hard on the windscreen, it's quite hard to hear the revs, and you can hear the sound of the raspy Renault in front more than you can hear Stig's BMW. If you go on its own. But we go back trackside, and there's Stig flying through turn 1, and in time before he ups and pumps, Brave, he's turned his lights on as a warning. Incidentally, all these guys started with their lights on. I noticed Stig driving with his lights off actually for a while there, so I don't know if that was tactical at all, but he's now turned them on, sliding through the double right-hander, and this is just space to drive a couple of corners with the camber, make it a real joy to throw the camber, and Stig massively putting Danny under pressure now. Now, you know, you bear in mind how quick Danny is and how experienced he is, so Stig is really on it to be absolutely hassling the back of Danny's car, and we'll see if he can get past soon. Oh, Dave in the lead there, look, massive slide, did he spin? He's held it together. Great stuff from the race leader. That was a fantastic save actually, because he so could have gone round, and of course the more these wet tyres are worn, the higher chance they've got of aquaplaning, and the rainwater is a bit on off in this race so far, so we'll come back to that battle in a minute, because I think Cordus just got past Simon actually, so we probably will return back to the race lead. It's still fairly close between these three, but he's managed to make his way up the field, so Ian having a storming run, pardon the pun on the weather there, but this is great stuff. Now look at this battle, it is absolutely firing up here, and all over the back of that Renault in the BMW there, but this is as tight as it was last lap around. It's so difficult to overtake around here, which is going to make this very tricky for Stig. He's got to pull a clean move and a good move, but he's done it. I think Danny must have got a track limits there, must have just hit a bit of a shot like that, and then Stig it in, gets it side stuff from Stig, who started something like 7th place, the 2nd spot. And what an end to the season for Stig. He had a torrid time season with DNFs, no scores and low points, but before the halfway point since Dubai really, he has had a string of good points finishes. In fact, from Dubai up to Alton Park, he scored 71 points. To put that into perspective, the chip leader did 115, a lot of Brave did 94, DTI Dave did 106, did 87, so Stig not far off of those guys, which is pretty cool to see. And he could be on for yet another podium. Further back we have got Ian still pulling away from Simon, but Simon and Sammy really inseparable in this race, so we're on lap 12, we're about halfway through the race, and these guys still battling out in place is at the moment, obviously with pit stops to play out. But yeah, this is pretty good to see. Mark and Lee have both pitted, so they are probably net position ahead of Simon and Sammy, but it's still a good battle going on there. And out in front, I can tell you that DTI Dave is not pulling away from Stig, his teammate. And who was that in the background going wide? Was that? I missed who that was. Didn't see who that was. But yeah, DTI Dave ahead of Stig. Danny's pitted. Yeah, Danny's in the pits. So Danny's in the pits. Can't see him. He's just out of shot at the moment. But the battle is absolutely raging for the lead as Stig flies through the double right-handers there again, sideways. These guys so good, so professional and so tidy with their driving, and be really interesting to see who's got this come the end of the race. Stig just seems to have his car on absolute rails today. DTI Dave's been very fast himself, don't forget. They had a 1-2 in the first race, and it's looking more and more ominous that that might be the result in this race too. Still some people out in the grandstands there, which is a bit of a surprise given the storm. VX Dave is promoted up to 3rd place at the moment, but that's purely through pit stops. Remember, he was something like 7th place before the pit stops started to pan out. There is Ian and Danny fighting over 4th place. So this is for track position, because so Danny must have not had a very good pit stop or something, because and neither of them got their wipers on at the moment, which is interesting. But yeah, Danny can't have had a very good pit stop. Remember, he was battling for the race lead, and he's come out quite a way back, to be honest, and behind Ian. Still keeping his wipers off for now. We go trackside, and Ian runs a little bit wide, so does Danny. For the lead, we've got just 0.8 of a second between these guys. Go on board with 2nd place man Chris, Stig, and following up the hill. There's definitely a difference between the way the two BMW guys have set their cars up. Look at the speed difference. I mean, we do have slipstream here. It's probably not that important. It's 220 kilometres an hour plus at the end of the straight. But Stig seems to have the car so well hooked up that he's not bad in the corners either. Certainly outdoing most of the front-wheel drive opponents in the corners. But yeah, he really has got this well sorted, and let's see how the teammates play this one out. We haven't seen them battle much on track this year. I think there was a little bit at Hockenheim, which was good to see. But yeah, awesome to see anyway. So they run 1-2 at the moment. Further back, Danny and Ian are right together. Ian runs wide, there's Danny. Oh, Ian's lost it though, he's gone hard on the brakes. That was an easy move for Danny in the end. And Danny's up to 4th place, so good recovery so far. Bear in mind that none of the guys ahead of him pitted yet. Oh, Danny almost losing it through there. He saw how sideways he has lost it. He's over the grass, there's contact as they rejoin. Oh no, and Danny's pointing backwards. He's pointing the wrong way, and that was all started because he lost the back end of the car, went across the grass, and ended up being partially collected by Ian. There was nothing malicious in that at all, just really unfortunate. And there's Lee in 6th place, was our pole man, so we'll see where he ends up at the end of the race. Obviously he's done his pit stop, so hopefully a good result to be had yet. And he's 37 seconds behind the race leader. And speaking of the race leader, they're still battling on what is now lap 16 of the race. Look at this, both BMWs missing the puddle there sensibly. DTI Dave seems to have managed to pull a bit of a gap back over Stig. Well, I say that, he's gone in too deep, he's gone over the grass. Will he have to concede that? Doesn't look like he's backing off just yet. Track limits infringements are a little less stringent in the wet, so the guys can run a little bit more over the curves and get away with it. So hopefully Dave will get away with that one. Speaking of Dave, there's VX Dave. Pretty lonely race at the moment in what is third place, but still yet to have his pit stop. Still looking like he's struggling with that car, not doing exactly what he wants. And there's contact, big contact between Ian and was that one of the back markers? I think that was Del Sport, I think. Really couldn't work out what happened there, but that was not good, and that's really unlucky for poor Ian. Couldn't work out what on earth was going on there, but there we are. There's Danny. Okay, so Del's pulled off the track there and he's let Ian back past, but that's Ian's race done in, final race of the year, and look at that car looking very decrepit indeed. And he comes up and past. Is that Sammy, I think? No, sorry, that was Del Sport again. Quite a lot of damage on these cars. Lee trying to make his way through without any contact. Stig has had his pit stop, I think, because he's now 22 seconds behind. Missed that in all the melee going on there. And DTI Dave is running at the moment. Yeah, we're on lap 18 of 25. DTI Dave with a 13-second lead over the other Dave. Stig, having done his pit stop, is only 22 seconds behind the race leader, so they're going to be close. There's Danny in fourth, recovering really well actually. 34 seconds down on the race leader. Throwing the car in, is really got that car set up ever so loosely. Lee, his teammate, 40 seconds adrift. There's a great battle between him and Ian, but obviously, actually, I think that's just Lee going past because Ian's car is very after that earlier incident. A little bit further back, Simon and Sammy, not quite inseparable now. They're 5 seconds apart, but still a potential battle there over 8th position. Del Sport's car looking very damaged. I think he may end up heading for retirement, but we'll wait and see. DTI Dave, where are we? So he's still in the lead, and I noticed that Stig is slowly pulling that gap in from 3rd position. It's got it down to 21 seconds. Second more, a couple of laps back. Now going sub 21 seconds, so it's good stuff. This could be a tight race for the win in the end. Danny's car managing to stay out of trouble more or less, apart from that spin across the grass and the contact with Ian. How's Mark doing? So Mark's car looking pretty good actually, and we know Mark's pitted. He's 10 seconds behind his teammate who's got quite a damaged car, so I expect that he'll be able to pick up another position yet. And there are the 2 damaged cars, one a lap down, and really unfortunate to see. But, that bumper doesn't look like it's hanging on much longer. We're on to lap 20 with the race leader now. 13.5 second advantage, but again Stig has pulled in that gap another half second. And could Stig be on for a double victory today? It's looking quite possible. Lee controlling the car well there, running 5th at the moment. So Mark now down to only 7 seconds behind his teammate. a matter of time for those guys. The Simon and Sammy battle has reduced down to 4 seconds between those guys. As we know, Dell's car very, very badly damaged. Still very, very wet out on track there, but it does look like there are places where there's not too much standing water. You can see where DTI Dave was just braking there, wasn't too heavy on the old waterfront. We'll look with DTI Dave as we head down. In fact, we'll go on board as we go down to the double right-hander, because this is where sometimes you get some standing water on the second corner on the inside there, and there is a big puddle. DTI Dave stays well off of that, as you'd expect, particularly with the rear-wheel drive BMW. That's just snapped right round. There's Stig going a little bit deep on the grass. Right, VX Dave has had his pit stop. He's come out behind Danny, so Danny's recovered really well. Danny, who was battling for the lead and actually was quite some way ahead of VX Dave before they pitted, so I guess you'd probably expect he'd come out ahead of VX Dave, but there's proof of it. He's well ahead, and VX Dave straight onto the grass, tons of understeer. Danny looked much happier in his car. We'll watch Danny as he goes through the double right-hander, bounces over the curb, looking nice and tidy. VX Dave in the background doing similar. Danny drives through the puddle there, VX Dave more or less skirting around it. But the battle is on, there's a couple more laps to go. It just remains to be seen what can be done by Stig, who's curiously now 25 seconds adrift. I think he's made a mistake somewhere, lost some time, quite a bit of time, because I think he would have been right on for this victory, and now he may have lost that opportunity. Pit stop, the pit lane is not long around here, so the time in the pit lane itself is quite short. And then it's all really down to how good the pit stop is, how good the crew are on the day. So it really is just remains for one person to see exactly how that pans out, and that is DTI Dave here. We'll see how he gets on in a mo. He may be heading for the pits. This is lap 22 of 25. He's not got many more opportunities. Slides it through the left-hander into the next left-hander. This is where the BMW's been really good, just not running too wide, getting their power down, heading up the hill. And is Dave coming in this time? Yes, he is. He's straight in, a lovely stop as well. Gets in nice and easily. Gets the car slowed down well, and is there for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All the pit stops taking quite a long time today, it seems. Most of them are sort of around 7-8 seconds, and Dave's looking pretty similar there. Here comes Stig up the hill. I don't think it's going to be enough. I think DTI Dave is going to hang on to this. DTI Dave will be joining Leo, and that is a big gap. That is a big gap, and if Stig hadn't had the unseen mistake, we didn't see what happened, I think he would have had that. But it does look like Danny will take the final podium position in this final race of the season, because VX Dave is some way back. Lee is actually doing a pretty good job in 5th place, and he may start reeling in VX Dave, but there's not too much time to do it. But we'll wait and see. Just saw VX Dave go out of shot there, and there's Lee. Gets it stopped nicely, turns it in. He's got good lines around here as Lee, and he seems to be going very well in the wet as well. VX Dave, you can just see a little bit further up. So VX Dave's effectively jumped him by pitting a lot later on. Remember, Lee was ahead of VX Dave, quite a bit ahead of VX Dave early on in the race, but VX Dave taking a very late pit stop. Lee had a very early pit stop, and the early pit stops don't always work too well. Although, to be fair to Lee, it's worth trying. There's been a couple of times this season where people have done early pit stops and it's really played out. If you recall race 1 of the season, round 1 of the season in race 2 at Sugo, Danny was involved in a collision with several cars on the first lap, got caught, damaged the car a little bit, and he pitted on lap 1 and finished the race second. And VX Dave at Watkins Glen and at Silverstone Classic pitted early and went through to win the race. So it's an opportunity, and sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't look like it's paid off too well for Lee here so far, but he's got an opportunity here. He's got a couple more laps. VX Dave doesn't seem to be going particularly quickly, so there may be an opportunity to get fourth out of this, but 5th place is not a bad result either. Lee's had a few good results this season, 1 or 2 podiums as well, and the battle for the lead is raging once more. Stig has pulled in that gap hugely over the last lap or so. Goodness me, because he was some 3.5 seconds down at the beginning of the lap, but a couple of laps back, and now here he comes. Go on board with 2nd place man, and look how quick he's up the straight, but he's not going to do anything silly. This is his teammate, they both know how to drive, they're both sensible, and I think Stig will be through if there's a mistake, but I think if not, he knows it's so important they get this 1-2. They had a 1-2 in the first race, don't forget, their first 1-2 of the season. We've seen Team Mochi do it a few times, and they're the only other team to do it, so this will be an absolutely mega result if they can do it here. In fact, it'll be very similar to Team Mochi. Oh, Stig just lost it through the puddle there, and that opportunity is going to go, because we are on the final lap, so there's just half a second between them, but it's going to be too little too late. So positions are reversed from race 1 effectively. We had a BMW 1-2 in race 1, we've got a BMW 1-2 in race 2. This time it's the Scotsman DTI Dave who comes home to take the win. An absolutely excellent, staggering run for the BMW guys. Well done to DTI Dave, well done to Stig in 2nd place. An excellent drive from something like 7th on the grid. Danny's going to be best of the rest and best of the front wheel drive crew in the Renault, and that might be enough to secure him 2nd in the drivers overall. We'll have to wait and see on that, but well done to Danny for the final podium spot of the season. Champion VX Dave comes across the line in 4th, a reasonable result, not far ahead of Lee, who scores a really good result there in 5th place, and Mark some way back, but in a tidy and unbattered Renault, and I think he'll be fairly chuffed with that result as well. A 6th is not to be sniffed at in this championship. To be honest, getting in the top 10 is pretty hard, although this time there's only 10 cars running, so everybody should achieve that. We've got Simon, we've got Ian, his teammate, is going to come home in 7th in that really battered looking Renault. Simon is going to be 8th, just coming round the last bend. Didn't quite have enough time to catch up on Ian by the looks of things. Sammy, the first of the extra cars, to finish in 9th, and Del Sport will finish a couple of laps down in 10th position, and that is the end of the season.